Hello and welcome to this tutorial for rose quartz effect nail art. I'm going to be showing you how to do this on a tip, which I've already prepped by etching it with one of the Halo Elite files. I have used the 180-100 file just to go over the surface of the nail with the 180 side, just to etch it. If it was a natural nail, I would have used the Halo Elite white sanding block to remove any moisture on the surface of the nail plate. So the first thing we do once we've etched our nail is just give it a cleanse over. I am using Halo Prep and Scrub and a melt blown lint free wipe just to cleanse the surface of the nail, remove any debris, any oil, any moisture, so that our gel polish can adhere to the surface nicely and we don't get any lifting. Oops. First thing that we're going to put down on the nail is a base coat. So I'm using base coat here, and I'm just going to pop on a layer of that as you would with any gel polish application. Just cover the whole nail right up to the cuticle and down to your free edge, and that goes in the light for 30 seconds. So to create the rose quartz effects, the colours I'm going to be using today are True Love from the Candy Heart collection, Mimi from the Parisian collection, French White from our core colours, and Hologram from our core colours. So that's the four that I'll be using today. Along with that, I'm going to be using a dotting tool and a detailing brush. So once your base coat is fully cured after 30 seconds, you can remove your tip from the light. Our first layer that we're going to put down is True Love. And this is going to give it a nice solid pink base that we can then build our layers upon to give the effect of the crystal in the rose quartz. So pop a nice layer of that on. Ensuring we cover the entire nail plate nice and evenly. With these pearlized colours, you're good going for a long stroke downwards on the nail rather than trying to do short strokes, because you get lines in it. So if you do a nice even long stroke all the way down, you get that lovely pearlized even effect. Pop that in the light for 30 seconds again to cure it. And then we are going to put another coat of that on top as well. Okay, so our second coat of True Love is next. Nice and even. I love the Candy Hearts collection. I love the pearlized effect, and there's such lovely pastel-y colours. It is actually one of my favourite collections. So that's our second coat there, and that's going to pop in the light for 30 seconds to cure. Take that out of the light, now it's cured. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take some French White, and we're going to decant a little bit of that onto our palette. There we go, just a blob of that onto your palette there. The reason we decant is because we don't want to contaminate our polishes by getting colours mixed in on our brushes. So I'm going to take a little detailer brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of the French White. Now for this first layer, You don't need to put a base coat on. I'll show you the base coat layer later, because we want these ones quite solid because they're going to be the lowest down through the layers. So if we're doing more solid, they show through better and give a better effects later on. So just take your little detailer brush, don't worry about being accurate, and just pop little wiggly lines across the surface of the nail. Nice and random. Try to vary the direction that they come from, so don't do them all from one edge. Come from the middle, separate them out. You can come from the other side, come up in between. When you're happy, you can go ahead and just cure that. 30 seconds in the light. Give your brush a clean. I'm going to be using the Halo brush cleaner. Just a dot of that onto a lint-free wipe to clean off my brush again, so we don't get any gel polish contamination, any colours crossing over. Okay, so we'll bring that out. That's cured now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take Mimi and we're going to do a layer of Mimi across the surface of the nail. Now Mimi is quite sheer, so you will see the white through it quite well, but as we layer up the nail, those white lines on the base layer will appear less prominent. So again, get a nice full coverage with Mimi across the surface of the nail. There we go, and then we're going to cure that for 30 seconds. Once that's cured, you can bring it out of your light. Okay, the next thing we're going to do now is put a little layer of base coat on again. Now you don't want this base coat too thick, otherwise your colour that you're going to put into it will bloom too fast. I'll explain that in a moment. So a nice thin layer of base coat there. And then we're not going to cure this layer of base coat. We're going to leave it wet. Then we're going to take our detailer brush again. Same again, pick up some French white. And we're going to do the same, going in between the lines that we've already got. Bringing it down, and what you'll notice is these lines are going to start to bloom out from each other and separate out into the base coat. You see that happening already. You can also hear my little doggies traipsing through. Sorry about that, if that's distracting. So those lines are blooming out. You can see that how they're separating out now. And then what you can do, if you take a small end of a dotting tool and you can actually go through and wiggle through the lines that you've just put on to sort of separate them out and give them that cracked appearance. And then when you're happy with that, go ahead and cure it again in the light for 30 seconds. Okay, so that's cured. Take our Mimi and once again cover the entire nail with a coat of Mimi. Layering it up So you can see those white bits we put on the first layer now look quite pink because they're covered with a couple of layers. Once you're happy with that coverage, you can pop that in the light again and cure it for 30 seconds. Okay, so again, the next step is base coat again. I'm going to do one more layer. So a thin layer of the base coat again. Much like before, we're not going to cure it. And then we're going to take our French white onto our detail brush, and same as before, pop some more lines in between the lines that we've already got. Very randomly wiggle it about a bit so they give the impression of being like a crack in the crystal. You can see they'll start to spread out in the base coat and bloom. Come up there a bit, and it gives it that lovely crystal effect. And then what we're going to do this time, clean our detail brush off again, and then we're going to come through the middle of the bits we've just put on, like we did with the dotting tool, and just go through the middle to give them a bit wider separation, like so, like this. And then that's going to go in the light again for 30 seconds and to cure. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need is hologram. So we're going to take a little bit of hologram onto our palette. Again, you only need a tiny bit. Pop a blob on your palette, and with your detailer brush, pick up a little bit of hologram. And then we're going to take it and go down the middle of some of the stripes, some of the cracks that we put in there, to highlight the gaps between the white lines, if you see what I mean. This gives it a more crystal effect. And let's face it, who doesn't like a bit of glitter? I know I do. So a little bits of hologram in between your white crystal lines there just sets it off nicely. I'm just going to pop another one there. When you're happy, cure it for 30 seconds again. When that's cured, we can take it out. You can see that there now looks nice and layered up. Now at this point, it's entirely up to your personal choice. I'm going to put another layer of Mimi over it just to take the whiteness away and give it a bit more depth. So just a thin layer over the top of the whole design. If you didn't want to do that, you can just go straight in with your top coat now. But I prefer to just finish it off with a layer of that. There we go. And then we're going to pop that into the lamp for 30 seconds to cure. So the final stage is just a top coat. I am using the non-white top coat. Gives a lovely glossy finish. We'll just cover the nail as we would with any gel polish to finish off. ensure you remember to cap your free edge if you're doing it on your natural nails, well, on any nails really. And then we're just finally going to give that another cure for 30 seconds. And that's finished, we'll take that out. And that is our finished rose quartz effect gel polish. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching.